May 2025 marks a new, more complicated chapter in the war in Ukraine. The conflict has become a grinding war of attrition, with both sides entrenched and preparing for a long struggle. Russia is intensifying military pressure in the east and north while diplomatic efforts remain stalled. The biggest shift, the Trump administration has moved the US from Ukraine's staunchest supporter to a cautious mediator, leaving Europe to take the lead in aid coordination. This change has forced Ukraine to adapt, facing a determined enemy and a less predictable international environment. The unity and resolve of Ukraine's early defense are now tested by exhaustion and shifting global politics. Every meter of ground is hard-fought, with immense human cost and no quick end in sight. For Ukraine and its allies, the challenge is how to support the fight without being drawn into a wider, endless conflict. Russia has shifted to relentless infantry assaults, trading lives for territory in a brutal war of attrition. These attacks stretch Ukrainian defenses thin as Russia opens new fronts in the north and south. Drones and agile vehicles now dominate the battlefield, turning the conflict into a deadly game of adaptation and innovation. Russia's goal isn't a dramatic breakthrough, but slow, steady advances that sap Ukraine's strength and morale. The Kremlin is betting it can outlast Ukraine and the West, relying on sheer numbers and centralized control. This strategy is a test of endurance, with both sides locked in a grinding, unforgiving struggle. The battlefields of eastern Ukraine have become a vast, costly meat grinder. Ukraine's resilience is fueled by ongoing Western military aid, even as US support becomes less certain. European nations and NATO partners supply artillery, air defenses, and support for Ukraine's new F-16 fleet. Ukrainian forces have become leaders in drone warfare, using technology to counter Russia's infantry-heavy tactics and inflict heavy losses. But constant Russian attacks are depleting Ukraine's manpower and ammunition, raising concerns about whether aid can keep pace. Protecting Ukraine's vast airspace remains a critical challenge, and the speed of aid delivery is crucial. The spirit of Ukraine's people and soldiers is strong, but the toll of war is immense. The coming months will test whether Ukraine can sustain its defense and adapt to the relentless pressure. The outcome depends on both Western resolve and Ukraine's own innovation. Diplomacy is at a standstill, with Russia and Ukraine further apart than ever. Putin demands international recognition of annexed Ukrainian territories, Ukraine's neutrality, and its demilitarization, terms Kiev sees as surrender. Accepting these would mean giving up sovereignty and security, so Ukraine rejects them outright. This deadlock leaves no room for compromise or meaningful negotiations. Ukraine fights for survival as a sovereign nation, while Russia seeks to impose its will. Until Russia moderates its demands, the war will be decided on the battlefield. Both sides believe military gains will strengthen their negotiating position. For now, peace remains out of reach. The Trump administration pushes for a ceasefire, but Putin manipulates the process, creating the illusion of diplomacy. By signaling openness to talks, Putin keeps the US engaged as a mediator, not a military backer, weakening Ukraine's support. Every hint of negotiation delays robust aid and sows division among Western allies. Some see a ceasefire as freezing the conflict and rewarding Russian aggression. Putin's strategy is to exploit cracks in the Western coalition and prolong the war on his terms. The central question, can Russia outlast Ukraine and the West, or will Ukraine's resilience and Western aid prevail? The war's outcome hinges on endurance, shifting political wills, and the ability to adapt. Ukraine continues to fight for a future where it, not Moscow, decides its destiny.